Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are on this big planet of ours. Doc Skin here with 1028 Live. It is Thursday, December 6th. Welcome to the show. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something pretty cool and out of this world, you might say. And if you're a parent with young kids, ages like 3 to 7, please gather around, check this out. You're gonna want to listen to this guy. He's an amazing artist. He's a creator, an inventor, um, Imagineering kind of guy. I mean, he's pretty hip to everything, and I think he's onto something, and we're going to share it with you tonight. So, oh, am I quiet? No, I'm still talking. All right. So these a lot of buttons on Zoom here when you upgrade. Okay, so I'm going to bring in Mr. Joel Christopher Payne with the Friendlien's Universe. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you, thank you. Now as you can look at you. You got Friendliens everywhere. So this is your baby.
Yeah, no, I've been working on it for I guess around 10 years now. I had previously been putting together a project called Growums, and that made a splash out there. We got it on the View. This is another company's product that I got to work on. And when I was doing that, I was building these characters in 3D and doing a lot of tutorial videos. I had to learn how to animate. And Groham's kind of allowed me to get my feet wet, kind of being a production company that would be able to produce my own cartoons. So Friendliens was born. And I've got some cool Friendlien technology here. This is a one-of-a-kind prototype that we've had made for us, and we hope to.
Is that reflecting?
No, this is fiber optic clothing, which is really cool stuff.
It is.
Yeah, so we've got this cool jacket, and we got a hat that lights up. The batteries are dead right now, but you press this button, the whole rim lights up and everything. I've been wearing it too much.
Yeah, no, I remember you wore it at Disclosure Con, and it caught everybody's attention. It was pretty cool, and you had footwear too, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I have shoes that light up, and they are very different than from the ones that just have kind of a band around them. They are fiber optic shoes as well. They feel like socks, very super comfortable, and they change colors and flash and do all kinds of fun things. So Friendliens, what is Friendliens?
Before you get started, why don't we do this so people can look at your website as you're talking about it instead of after the fact?
That's a good idea.
So let's give out your website, and I'll pull it up here, and we'll do a quick, with your permission, face grab of your website, and they can get a visual of it, but then also know where to go. So why don't you give that to us, and I will.
It's spelled friend, Liens .club. We didn't go with the .com. We thought that the .club would be more fun. So friend, Liens .club. And because I contract with Disney as a fine artist, and Walt kind of inspired me in my career. So I figured he had a Mickey Mouse club. I'd like to make a Friendlien club to kind of honor him.
Nice. All right. So right now, let's see, side by side. So you can see it. You can see my screen.
If you want to play that video, if you're able to show that, play that. Yeah, that'll pretty much sum up. That'll get us started.
Okay, well, let's do that then.
Well, we've got some storming going on. Looks a little blocky there. Got some signal problems.
Looks good on this end.
Okay.
More. What else you got?
Well, exactly. I mean, and we're now fully funded, so we are now in heavy production of new cartoons that are going in the Friendlien network. So let me just kind of touch base on what the Friendly Network is.
Okay.
It's very unique in that there really hasn't been anything like this on the planet. You've had kind of a small form of this, kind of alluding to what I'm trying to do with shows like Mr. Rogers and Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse, where they were trying to teach kids more than just the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s, but how to be a good person, how to explore the world. And so Friendlians kind of came out of the need of me being a single father with 3 kids, trying to find products that would back up and support me as a parent when it came to my family values and life lessons, things that would back up my play as a parent. So if I wanted to get my kids cleaning their room, where's the really cool comforter set that has instructions worked into the comforter set that teach my kid how to make their bed, or what's the product that it gets my kids to remember to turn off their lights, so we can save power, stuff like that. So it inevitably led to me taking my skills that I acquired throughout the industry in the video game business as an art director and game designer. All my years working in the TV business, working on Max Steel and Starship Troopers, taking all that knowledge and applying it to a cartoon series that parents can have access to, parents and kids, where you would download the app. It's like kind of like operates like Netflix, where you could search a database of a lot of different lessons, and with the ability to basically have a Rolodex of solutions in your pocket to help you and your kid deal with anything that they might be struggling with. Maybe the kid's afraid of the dark. Maybe he doesn't want to eat his vegetables. Maybe he doesn't want to play nice. Maybe the child is being bullied. So we want to have little 1 to 2 minute long cartoons. This is for ages 3 to 7. And we want to have these cartoons kind of geared towards them so that they can watch a little short lesson that kind of talks about what it means to be wise, what it means to be honest, just basic things that I think all parents would agree are things that kids need to learn, that they're not really getting a lot of hands-on experience in schools learning, or for that matter, when both parents are working, or if you've got a single parent like me, you're handing your kids over to other organizations. You're handing your kids over to babysitters that might not necessarily have your same work ethic, your same morals, or even the same level of time and dedication to focus on that kid, because they're focusing on 15 or 20 other kids, and they're just basically fulfilling their basic needs and making sure they've got food and they're taking their naps. They're not thinking about, hey, I should teach this kid how to be a good human being, So we've got the network out on Android. It shot to #2 top-rated parenting app in the App Store 3 days after launch without any marketing.
Wow.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people are desperate for this, and we just got word today that tomorrow we'll be uploading the iOS version of the app, and it'll be available as quickly as Apple approves it, and we don't have any concerns that they wouldn't. So we'll have both versions up there, and the goal is to make it so it's really inexpensive for people. We don't track anybody's. We keep everybody's privacy private. I will never know your password. Our company wants to be responsible with people's privacy, and we don't even want to really capture anything or do a lot of push notices to people. We basically just want people to have access to some really good knowledge, So we're taking different well-being experts from around the world that have written on all kinds of subjects, and we're taking that information. We're figuring out what the best evidence is, the best way to solve a particular problem that a kid might be suffering from, and turning it into a really fun animated cartoon that gets kids, parents and kids both excited about moving on these things and trying to be better kids, And we're hoping that we can keep the price at like a simple $2 entry fee, a one-time fee, and you'll get access to these little 1 to 2 minute long cartoons. And as long as I'm alive and breathing, I'm going to keep putting new cartoons into that jukebox. And
Nice.
so you get new content, and you won't have to do anything. You'll just, it's just like Netflix. You'll see that something new is available to you. And the hope is that I can have anywhere between 60 to 100 cartoons by the end of this 2019.
Wow.
And yeah, and we're already moving on to getting a little plush toy component that will be really, really unique in the way that it's made and what it can do. Because we're a friendly company, we want to be responsible in how we make things. So we're already talking to a plush company that works with some of the biggest brands in the industry to make this. Here's what the packaging looks like. So this is his little transport pod. This is his spaceship that he's come to you on. You know, and
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, it's kind of cute. But and then on the top, we're going to put a little slot on the top there so that you won't throw this package away. It'll actually be a container that you can put the friendly back in, so he has a place that he can live,
Hmm.
and or it can become a bank, and you can start immediately teaching your kid how to save through our future series. We've got a series of we've got a bunch of financial experts that I just brought onto the project that are helping me work out a curriculum for teaching kids how to save, how to be fiscally responsible. Even at 3 to 7, we can start getting the basic principles of being responsible by getting kids to understand that their toys that mom and dad bought have value, retainable value, and if they take care of them, maybe they can barter with them or sell them. I mean, if I had known this when I was a kid, if you had known this,
Yeah,
I wouldn't have needed funding. I could have just kept my Star Wars toys and then cashed in.
right. I wish I had kept all my toys. I mean,
Right. We
nowadays.
were never told about things having value, and in our society right now, we've gravitated so heavily on everything that we have is disposable. Our phones don't last very long. Our computers are designed to fail. Our cars are designed to fail. Uh, Basically, everything is designed to be kind of temporary in our
Limited,
society.
yeah, limited.
Yeah, yeah. So getting kids back into that mindset of things have value, and if we're gonna make something, it shouldn't be something that stays on the planet forever when you figured out that it's no longer useful to you.
Hmm.
Um, the big broader uh, point that the Friendlians are trying to make is, how do we teach a generation of kids to learn how to communicate with each other peacefully, despite our differences, and trying to solve problems, getting a generation that understands how to problem solve so that we can address problems that are plaguing us right now, and things that we haven't even considered. Um, but with the added idea that we can also teach a generation how to make things responsibly, because right now everything we make is, again, created because it's disposable, it's convenient,
Hmm.
and it's cheap. Those are pretty much the two dominant things that when somebody's making a product, they're thinking about how can I make it affordably so I can make a lot of money off of it, and how do I make it so that it makes life easier for a person, so that they're maybe even a little lazier. And they haven't considered the third component, which is how do we make these things responsibly so that when we make it doesn't impact in the planet and kill us in the long run, because we're great at building things. We're terrible at figuring out where everything goes when we're done playing with our toys. And that's a big problem. If you look at what's happening in the oceans, we've got this trash island out there, and we got a lot of plastic in the oceans that's causing acidification.
Hmm.
And the way that we handle trash in our country, despite us having the ability to recycle. I was talking to some recycling companies, and they were telling me that even though it looks like a lot of this stuff, that you would put into the bin to recycle, a lot of it is actually trash that they have no way of processing.
Hmm.
Like the milk cartons, they're lined they're coated with a wax type that they can't really break some of this stuff down. Uh, so we need to figure out better ways to create, clean energy. We need to think of better ways to how we grow our food, so that we're not growing things in poison soil and feeding the plants with poison water and these plants breathing poison air. Uh, because when that thing's poisoned 3 ways to Sunday, and you're eating the food and drinking the water and breathing the air, you're poisoned 6 different ways.
Yeah.
And it should be no surprise as to why we're getting, an uptick in cancer and autism is on the rise. We're getting all kinds of unusual things that are happening to us because I think we've poisoned ourselves. And
Yes.
so,
Yes. I mean, shopping is a scary thing for me. I go in, I'm starving. I go out, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna lose another 5 pounds. I just don't want to
well,
put that stuff in my body.
yeah, and
There's just some,
and worse, our society, big businesses are manipulating us in plain sight, and we don't even know it. And let me give you a good example of what I mean by that. Let's say you want to live a healthier life, but you're poor and you go to fast food because it's cheap and it's convenient. That whole cheap and convenient thing.
that's a big issue of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but when
cost.
I was a kid, you used to be able to go to McDonald's and say, get 2 cheeseburgers, a Coke and a fry, and you'd be able to get a small Coke. You'd be able to choose your size. Now, if you go to McDonald's and you try to get the same thing through the menu, and you say whatever the number it is that they've assigned it to,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you'll get a medium. You can't. If you ask, can I make that Coke a small because I'm trying to watch my weight? Oh, I don't want all that sugar.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. They won't let you do it. They'll say no. Now,
Yeah.
and then when you get the medium-sized drink, I'm 47, and I remember very clearly because my parents were always working, and I would go to McDonald's and Burger King, and I was kind of a fast food kid back then.
Yeah.
Terrible for my my
Me,
health.
me too.
I
I
remember,
was big. I was like 300 pounds at one point.
I remember being very lethargic through most of my childhood, very, very kind of tired all the time. And I know why. And it's not my parents' fault. I mean, we were all kind of, at the time, we had no idea what really fast food was doing to people until the Super Size Me documentary came out. And then
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
it all makes sense. But I remember the size of the medium. And unfortunately, the medium that you're forced to order with that meal is what we used to call a large. and now you can't bypass that whole concept and say, and this is the only way that you can actually downsize instead of supersize. You say, I want 2 cheeseburgers, and then you pause and say, okay, now separate order, I want a small Coke. And then separate order, I want a small fry. And then guess what? You're paying more
More. Yeah.
for that than you would if you had done it with the meal. And why are they doing that? So I have some people that happen to work in the inside, and they told me that basically, sugar water, the Cokes are really nothing to them. It costs pennies, and so that's why it's pretty much all the same cost, no matter what size you get, because it's
What?
really nothing. It costs them nothing.
Well, they put smack or something in the Dr. Pepper because I can't get off it.
Yeah, well, actually, they have a particular dial in on the level of fizz they put into it and the level of syrup, and it's calibrated very specifically to coincide with the very salty fries. So you got the sweet and the salty, and even within the burgers, the buns have sugar in the buns.
Hmm.
So the whole purpose is to no. So why would they get rid of the small? They would get rid of the small and then switch out the medium for what we used to call a large. The whole purpose is to expand your gut with liquid. Just flood it and expand your gut so that you can consume more of their junk food, and thereby getting all those fillers. You're hungry a few hours later, and of course, where are you going to go? You're going to go back to the place that you're familiar with that's convenient and cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe another fast food place, but because all the fast food places have kind of saw this gimmick, this scam, they've all jumped on board. And so, we're the most obese country in the world. I had the pleasure of going over to China for a 9-day peace tour over there with the Friendlien Project. And I didn't see a single overweight person. I mean, everybody in China's riding bikes or walking, or they've got gardens in their backyard. They're not going to the grocery store to get their herbs and vegetables. They're in their backyard, working the land. They've got gardens in their backyard. They're not going to the grocery store to get their herbs. Yeah, and everything they eat is fresh.
There's this other guy that's talking on this show called, and it won't let me mute it. Why is it doing that? I'm so sorry, but that's your fault. That was you.
Me? Alien technology. We got a little
my
alien.
Phone just turned on with the Facebook Live, and there you were, double speak. not that you're talking double speak, but I'm saying double anyway. So I'm so sorry. Continue.
Hopefully everybody's cool with a little technical difficulties. We've got a massive storm going outside, so there's bound to be some gremlins. Speaking of gremlins, here's the Friendlien.
Oh, he's so cool. Yep.
Hello, I'm looking at you. So we had this guy designed. It took quite a lot of back and forth to get him up there. We made it so that he has this funny little hair, so we can tickle the kids and make them laugh. And the big, cute eyes are the things that the kids love the most. They always love his big puppy dog eyes. And at some point, we've got this really cool technology where we can put it into the toy, and the toy can talk. And we're working on some next level stuff. But for now, we want to take this canister that you don't throw away, and you don't want to throw it away, because we're going to work on an augmented reality experience, because alongside with the Friendlien that came in the capsule, we also have a creature from the Friendlien planet that's stowed away on his capsule, and the only way to see him is by using augmented reality. You hold your phone up or your iPad up to the can, and then this can will turn into a habitat. It'll either turn into, depending on the three creatures you can choose from, there'll be a fish or a bird or a reptile, and your habitat will be created according to the animal that you selected. But here's the cool thing: that's so that we can teach kids how to take care of a pet before they get a real one and accidentally kill it.
Good. That's good. Yeah, I think every kid should have that automatically.
I had a lot of belly up goldfish, and I think I accidentally killed my hamster by feeding it cream cheese, thinking that it was the cream of the crop cheese for a rodent. And it constipated him. He got constipated. He was frozen stiff the next day. I felt so. I just have memories in my head of like things that I did to animals because I just didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And I'm thinking, let's give a virtual animal a really amazing, beautiful alien animal that looks cute and beautiful. Not a scary alien, because Friendliens are not scary.
Yeah.
And this animal can talk to you. It's not just, not saying anything. It's actually a talking creature that can like help you, instruct you, let you know that when it's hungry, have a conversation with you. So we're really
don't forget about going outside. If we're going to teach them about pets, let's take them outside.
The habitat is going to be inside the inside the canister. So we'll deal with how things work out on that end, in terms of like walking a dog or something like that isn't necessarily what's going to happen. But we've got ideas. I don't know. I mean, the AR applications to this canister could be wide ranging. I mean, we can make it so that it's a console that opens up.
And I was just about to say, yeah.
Yeah, you can communicate with the mothership, maybe through this awesome virtual console.
I want one myself.
Yeah, I know. I mean, trust me, I'm a big kid. So in a lot of ways, I'm kind of thinking like Walt did when he first built Disneyland, in that I'm not just building it for the kids, I'm building it so that the parents can have fun with the kids and they could do this together. I mean, you can't make Mary Poppins in the home with Friendliens, just to teach children, because Mary Poppins wasn't just about the kids. That story was really about the parents and how they needed to engage. The kids needed to give a little bit more respect, but the parents needed to give a little bit more love and attention. So with the Friendlien project, we want to be giving parents tools on how to deal problems that they're struggling with, and we want to give kids the opportunity to kind of piecemeal little bits of knowledge out to them in very careful ways, in entertaining ways, making it fun to learn these lessons instead of it being a chore. And, you know, even if some of the kids don't like the cartoons, you want to get the network anyway, primarily because there might be a subject that you might be a little touchy for you that you don't know how to answer or don't know, you know, and it's nice to have a cartoon that can be
help you explain it.
yeah, it could be a talking point. You could start with that as a conversation starter, you know, and maybe say, this is what the Friendlians think about this. And, you know, it's all within your control. The thing is partitioned. There's a parent side of the app, and then there's a kid side. You create an account with the, you know, you can have as many accounts as you want to handle individual kids in your family. So there's no limits. And then you go into the store, and for each child, you can create a playlist of subjects that you like. So you're popping in different shows, little 1 to 2 minute long shows. And in essence, you're making your own
shopping experience and educational experience for the kids.
Right.
You know, using their time wisely, basically.
Right. I mean, you might be in a place where you're at a doctor's office and you're just waiting. You've got like 15 minutes. Well, hey, you know, set up a bunch of little 15-minute, you know, put a playlist together that's like 15 minutes and then hand your phone over to your kid and it'll play all the way through them one after the other. It's great. This is kind of like Sesame Street in how, you know, if you look at Sesame Street as an hour-long show, they had a segment that was, you know, like this is the counts segment for like 5 minutes. We're going to do the count. Then we did Elmo, and then there's Big Bird, and then there's the Bert and Ernie segment. So really, I'm just making a lot of little micro segments where the parents can determine what lessons they think are important for their kid to hear in any given moment at any given time. And I think that's a lot more powerful.
Oh yeah, it's like parent skills or parent helper on demand.
Right. Exactly.
Type it, or like WebMD, but it's like screaming child can't get them to calm down. Type it in.
Right.
Oh, here's a friendly. Watch this and calm down. You know.
Yeah. Well, we hope that because we are using experts to help us write this content, we're hoping that we can at some point in the 3.0 because we're working on the 2.0 version right now. We're launching the 1.0 for the iOS within the next week or so, but the 1.0 for Android's already out. Now we're going to do 2.0. So the 2.0 version is going to be really cool. Right now, currently with the 1.0 version, we've got this little chore helper. So you can take a picture of a mess that your kid has made or their bed's not made or whatever task that you deem important. You can take a picture of it, or you can use one of our icons for a chore. We got all these chore icons. And you write a little description because we want kids to learn how to read. So it's not just add an icon and they're not reading. So I force the parents to actually put in a description because we want the kids to kind of see if they can grasp, you know, and 3 to 7, they're still learning how to read and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you create a priority of how important that task is. And then the kids will check off, they'll hit the checkbox next to it, and then you approve it. And it fills up this little meter, and you can take a picture of some tickets to a kid's favorite show, or a present, or just a smiley face, or whatever you want. It could be a video of you saying we're going to Disneyland, or hey, we're going to have mom and dad time, or whatever it is with your kids. Whatever the reward is, you can attach it and either keep it as a surprise, so they won't be able to know what the reward is until they've gone through all the chores, or you can let them see it so that it's an incentive to want to do all those chores. So it's really completely under the parent's control. Now, in the 2.0 version, right now, which we just started working on, there's going to be a store, and the store is going to allow you to buy, you know, Friendlien's stuff. And the idea is that you'll be able to basically go into that chore log, buy a product, attach it as a reward. Instead of just a picture or a video of something, you can attach an awesome Friendlien thing that's going to teach the kid another really cool thing, like making your bed. We've got this really cool comforter set that I built that looks like a rocket ship, and it's got glow in it, just like the glow in the dark T-shirts that you see. So the whole thing kind of lights up like Tron. Cool. And we got a boy and a girl version.
I want one of those too.
It's a unisex thing because we think it's just a really cool, hot rod UFO. And then the pillowcase has either a boy or a girl Friendlien on either side, so they can choose who they want to be their co-pilot at night. but it's got the instructions on how to make your bed work into the beautiful artwork. So, and because you bought it through the Friendly Network, you'll get a video that teaches the kids how to use those instructions. And eventually, we'll have a toy that you can program that will wake up at a certain time and remind your kid to make the bed because grandma has bought another Friendly item. And if you make your bed perfectly 10 times in a row, approved by mom or dad, then we've got another Friendly thing coming your way. So that's the basic formula for how we're going to move forward. And we think that it's a really successful way of incentivizing kids. And, but we're
Now,
building a whole world around this. It's not just a handful of cartoons. We're building a whole universe. And hopefully, we've got plans to figure out a way to transport people to this other planet that I'm building. So I come from the video game industry, and I worked with the Imagineers, and I've built virtual attractions, and there's a way that we could do this. I figured out how to basically make the holodeck.
nice.
And you don't have to go somewhere. It actually is wherever you are, we can make the holodeck, and where you can actually feel like you're at a real place in your living room or in your bedroom or wherever you are. So I'm not going to disclose how I know how to do that, but I get it all figured out.
Well, I want to sign up for sure.
I want that to happen more than anybody. So
now I have to say, you met my mom.
yeah.
Okay. She used to do something similar to this, not to the Imagineering grand scale, but she'd have a poster board on the wall in the kitchen with graphs, and she took the long yardstick and make the lines, have my name, and I got a star for different things. And on top of her fridge, because I'm just saying this stuff works. I like to think I'm an okay guy. So I really dug it because she would have a basket on top of the fridge that have all these toys, like a plastic crocodile and a water gun, and so incentives work.
Well, I got to tell you, I had some pretty rotten teeth as a kid because I ate a lot of candy and ate a lot of fast food, and I'd have to go to the dentist all the time. I hated it. It was like the most miserable experience. But one thing did make it better: the little toy treasure chest. And it's funny
Yes.
'cause my kid's dentist has really, really amazing stuff in this chest. And my kids are so excited to go to the dentist. And I'm thinking, well, for all the dentists that don't know how to do it right with kids, it's nice to be able to say, as a dentist, you can get a toy like this and you can hand it to a kid. And the Friendlians are helping you work through that traumatic moment.
Yeah.
And maybe teach you how to brush your teeth properly. Turn brushing your teeth into a game. 28 years in the video game industry, I've worked on some of the biggest titles in the world: Mortal Kombat, Silent Hill, Elder Scrolls Online.
Wait, just say those again, just in case it bypass, because that's pretty cool. One more time.
Yeah. So I was the one of the leads on Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, which was it was the second attempt at trying to make an adventure, a game version of Mortal Kombat, which was just primarily just a fighter. So this is really a big risk in the Mortal Kombat world to try to put a lot of money into something that had nothing to do in terms of the style of combat that Mortal Kombat had been known for. And instead, we did this really cool adventure type game, and it did very, very well. I was one of the guys that got to take the original MK1 and MK2 and 3 backgrounds and kind of string them together to build the world that made sense to that you would run around.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, I came from the video game industry, and that's another reason why I'm working on Friendliens so much, because personally, when I got into the video game industry back in 1992, there were only 32 colors on the computer back in the day.
Yeah.
And video games were very much like strategy games, very kind of text-based almost, And I got to see this kind of revolution. And through the course of it, I just saw it kind of glorifying violence and sex more and more, and with no restrictions to barriers to stopping kids from getting access to it. So for me, I had to, in 2008, I just walked away from the video game industry altogether. And I was at the top of the food chain. I mean, I was making a pretty good income. I mean, the best income and on the biggest project. And I just came to an epiphany in my mind that I just couldn't continually feed that machine. And I think I've got a lot of karma I've got to undo, because just being an artist in that was a way of me kind of like excusing everything that was going on around me. Uh, but at some point that, I just wanted to use my powers for good. And that opportunity came with Growums, teaching kids how to grow their own healthy vegetables. And I created all these cartoons. I mean, I produced 100 cartoons. It's equivalent to 3 feature-length films by myself, um, all in 3D. And we got on The View, and we got into Lowe's, every Lowe's store, and big things are coming around the corner for that too. The Growums are currently on the Friendlien network right now as one of our shows. So you'll be able to learn how to grow through that.
Is that also on the same website, a link to the network itself?
Well, again, you would go to the Play Store and put in Friendliens, and it should be readily available. You pay the $2. Hopefully, you give me a good rating. We're hoping we keep that 5-star rating, because
Excellent.
We're hoping that everybody knows we're still putting more content in constantly. It's not like, because right now we've only got about, I think, 15 cartoons in there. The chore helper
it'll
alone,
build over time though. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, this takes time, but the chore helper alone is worth the price of admission. I mean, nobody wants to be sitting there gridding out things on a wall anymore.
yeah.
It's just terrible. So that's a really handy tool. I actually use it personally just to keep track of my tasks that I try to get done in a day. Cool thing about that task list is those tasks will reset, so you don't have to constantly the next day. So after you accomplish everything, the tasks will stay, so you don't have to re-input them all over again. So you can have recurring tasks.
It's like a recurring schedule. That's very
yeah.
Why do you have to be just under 7 to use that? It sounds cool.
Well, again, this is
I need something like that in my life.
Yeah, this is a parent helper. I mean, you could use that thing. I mean, when I was raising 2 twin babies, brand new out of the womb, by myself, I had to take on that responsibility by myself. Something like that would have helped me, keep on schedule with feeding and changing diapers and, all that. So even though this stuff is geared to 3 to 7-year-olds, I would have loved to have something like that little chore helper just to help me remember to buy certain, it's just a nice little checklist, it's a checklist helper.
So the app is like a digital Swiss Army knife for parents.
We want to keep on adding more and more features in this that make it really, really like the ultimate network for parents and kids. That's what the whole Friendlien network is. We're trying to basically make a whole lifestyle brand around this, and ultimately, the long-term goal in my head is to kind of create a movement where we can create little micro cities, kind of follow Walt's lead with what he was trying to do with Epcot City. The actual practical living city that he was trying to build that didn't happen because nobody knew how to do it after he passed away. But I'm hoping that I'm alive long enough that my company will start building little micro cities of like maybe 100 people where everybody is helping each other, and it's kind of a self-reliant ecosystem, and everything in the town was built responsibly so that it's a zero impact location, and people are making money. It's an economy, and we figure out how to do that in little micro ways so that can be a benchmark for how we do it with the bigger cities, and actually really try to do some real solid peacemaking, save the planet stuff, which is exactly what aliens, at least mine, are trying to do. They're trying to save the planet. They come in peace because they've perfected it.
Wow. So when is your projected date for Friendlien's Universe park? I can see you having your own theme park based around the Friendliens, and you have your little certain restaurants over here, like
well, I think that the concept of having a big, massive plot of land that
Long
you
down
go
the line, though.
I'm just saying that to me, no, is kind of an antiquated concept. I mean, it was perfect in Walt's time; nobody had done it. But now, my objective is to make the park come to you, and there's a million ways I can think of on how to do that. A couple of them are, I worked on Sky Pirates, which was a vertical reality ride for Steven Spielberg and GameWorks and all that. I got to work with on a project for that guy, which is just great. And there are these little pop-up type places like Dave and Buster's, and there's a couple location based, but there's also like trampoline parks and places where you go in, you pay a fee, and the kid can bounce off the walls and climb up ropes. So Friendliens would be done very differently, and I don't want to kind of show my cards on that one because I don't want anybody to take my
That's
great
okay.
idea.
No.
But when you go into this thing that I want to build, it's kind of like entering in Harry Potter's world. It's a very real place, and you learn things in there. You learn practical skills, and it's fun to learn these skills. I'd say there's a lot of things in there that are human powered, not using the grid, and more so, I think, I don't want to be like Chuck E. Cheese. No offense to Nolan Bushnell, who's an advisor to this project, who started Chuck E. Cheese and Atari. he had a good idea. But I would want to make sure that the food that we're offering parents and kids is healthy, and I could feel good that the kids can come there and get a good healthy meal, and they're not eating pizza and junk food and Coke and all the other things that are just killing our kids. So that's a little touch on that, but I don't want to get too far into it because one step at a time. But that's my hope, and I'm hoping that this video can be a record to me fulfilling all that I've alluded to.
Oh, absolutely. So now you not only do you create universes, but you've been doing art for a long time for Disney.
Yeah.
And tell us about it. Let people. I want
Okay.
people to know a little more about what you do because they should go check out. Oh, tell them about your site that has your artwork.
Yeah.
Please, I want them
Yeah.
to
If
see
you
that, and
go
I'll put it
to,
up.
yeah, if you go to wishpictures.com, wish, WISH, pictures with an S.com. That's my Payne site. I've taken a lot of the Disney stuff down because, and hey, I'll just announce it right now. I now have one of the most robust multi-contracted fine art contracts with Disney that I know of. I got to deal with the parks. It's a great opportunity. Just submitted a lot of paintings for them having to do with the attractions. So there's different agreements that you can get. One's for Star Wars, another one for the feature animation stuff.
Yeah,
And then,
speaking of Star Wars, I saw the artwork you did for Rex Bear.
oh,
Jealous,
yeah, you got the
jealous.
last one.
Oh man.
Sorry. I know.
Oh,
I'll hook you up with. Hey, I still have a Mickey's 90th birthday proof, so
nice, nice.
that's probably worth more than all of my pieces combined. So
Wow, wow.
I have like 3 of them left out of the 20 they gave me, but
Well,
proofs.
put one in a safe deposit box as money for later.
Well, I do something really unique, which is why Disney's working with me and giving me this opportunity. I'm trying to do something breakthrough with that. It's called Believable Fantasy, and it's a mixed media pieces that involve traditional old school painting techniques like using acrylic and oil.
I'm going to
And
pull
then,
up your site real quick as you're saying this,
yeah,
okay? And you're going to see it. And if you want me to scroll to a certain painting, because there's a couple I really would like to show, you
yeah,
can
please.
discuss it as we
Pop
go
right
along.
on.
All right, here we go. So you can see my mouse, right?
Yeah, of course I can.
All right.
Yeah,
So
go into the gallery there. I mean, that's the best way to do is just don't go into the store, but go into the gallery.
is that the gallery that I just clicked on? That's
You
a
click on
store.
the store. Yeah,
Okay, my bad.
yeah.
Where's the gallery at?
It should be at the top. Just look at the top, very top bar.
Oh, right, way up there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You need like an easy gallery button. Okay, yeah. Now you can scroll down, and that's some of the examples. But keep scrolling because it'll load a couple more. We'll see if I'll pop on one that Summarize.
Candyland. Oh, that's cool. I used to love that game. All
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's actually based off of Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
Hansel? Gretel.
Now, if there's
Um,
more here, it
yeah. Again, the storms are really killing bandwidth. Anyway, click on that one right there. The one that's to the left. There you go. Click on that one. Exactly. That was one of the first ones I did,
mhm.
and so that's actually a precursor to the 90th Mickey's 90th birthday painting that I did. So I basically re-envisioned this, and I put Mickey and Minnie with Goofy in the gondola, and I created a bridge. But basically, all of those, the sky, the textures and surfaces that are on the walls, the murals, all of those are actual traditional paintings.
Mm.
Little small paintings I did.
Like oil.
Yeah, well, some of them are oil. It just depends. I mean, I primarily I moved towards mostly acrylic because it just dries faster.
Yeah.
And so I painted little mini canvases. Then I scan all those things in, and then I use Maya. I help. I'm one of the beta testers on that. I've helped them come up with features and stuff like that over the many years I've been using it. And I do 3D sculpture. I'll literally model the keyholes in the doors if you can see it in the painting. And then I was 2016's Corel Painter Master. So after extensive modeling, lighting, and texturing with real paintings,
Mhm.
I render this out. I bring it into Corel Painter, and I digitally paint on top of that, adding even more detail. So currently, right now, we've got 3 levels of detail there, right?
Yeah.
We got the paintings, then we got the sculpture, and then we've got the digital painting on top of that. Then that gets sent to Disney. They send me back a canvas print of that, and I'll do a minimum of 50% of real paint on top of that, adding even more detail. Um,
Wow.
and then when the proofs come to me, I'm given either 10 or 20 or 25 proofs, depending on the contract that it's connected to. And those proofs, I'll heavily embellish those things. I won't just put a few dabs of paint like most proofers do. I'll actually really heavily, I'll try to bring back the life of anything that I think that the print didn't bring
Faded
back.
away or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, when you turn the lights off on that proof, the windows illuminate, the candles illuminate, the fixtures.
Yes, I was hoping we could look at one of those because
Well,
that's why I love your. Well, if we can't, we can't. But go
I
look
don't have
at
any.
it.
I don't have any demonstrations on my website for that. People have to contact me directly for some of the Disney proofs are not sold in any store. They're not sold on the internet. You basically have to find me or send me a message, and then it's a private sale. So, and then I'll discuss all the secrets that are in some of these paintings. So I do hide things in there that sometimes are only revealed when you turn the lights off. Like for
Nice.
example, the 90th birthday painting. There's 90.
Did you want me to go to that, or do you want me to switch to
No,
another
no, no.
painting? Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about that. But basically, imagine this scene with a lot of floating candles in the river. Um, I basically put this glow paint on. So 90 candles illuminate when you turn the lights off, and there's
Nice.
stars that things happen. There's hidden Mickeys and stuff that I could put in there, and I could also, if I wanted to, I can illuminate an address that's personalized to somebody's birth date or an anniversary on the door. It's like a special thing that can glow. Um, I've had people request me painting 33 into it because you've got Club 33 at Disneyland, and
Yeah.
so I like making it special and personal. I really do spend a lot of time on these things. I sell them for a reasonable price. It's like instant equity. Because I'm primarily working on Friendliens and I'm funded. I'm giving people a really good deal on that stuff. And you couldn't get any of the Disney, the Mickey and Minnie stuff because it all goes over to China. I have a deal with that country, so it's all of my Disney stuff for feature is exclusive to the Disney Shanghai location. All of my ILM Star Wars stuff is here in America, and then the parks is going to be exactly where whatever park I've done will be in that specific park, exclusive
Wait,
to them.
did you say ILM?
Yeah, ILM, Industrial Light
Industrial
Magic.
Light and Magic. You're hooked. I love how you just always throw out these little extras every now and then with me when we're talking. It's like, oh, this is awesome.
Well,
ILM and
that's
Skywalker Ranch were my two
Star
dream
Wars.
jobs. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Disney owns it now. They own Star Wars and Indiana Jones and
Yeah,
whatever else came with the ILM license.
right. That's awesome.
Multi-billion-dollar purchase.
Well, cool. Um, so you got your funding.
Yeah.
When do you expect um, to start rolling out? Because I know you got pre-production.
Well,
There's a lot that goes into it.
it's
I get
already
that.
rolled out.
But do you have a projected time?
Yeah, I mean, it's already rolled out. If you go to the Android store, you can download the app right now. Again, it's only $2. Right now, it's considered a closed network, so there is no database that's storing your private information. There's nothing. There's no need to log into anything. You literally download it. You create your own little security question to remember your password, 4-digit code. It's very important you write that down or you remember the question, because if you forget it, my company doesn't know anything about you because we're protecting your privacy. You literally have to uninstall it, clear out your memory, and reinstall
Mm.
it. So, so, uh, so you can get access to the cartoons right now, the ones that we've got uploaded. For iOS users, go to the website, sign up for it. For our newsletter, we're not going to spam you. I hate spam. I hate companies bombarding me with junk. The only thing that we let people know is when there's a release or there's some major thing that's happened, and you can opt out, of course, but we want to make it so that the next version has a database so that we actually can allow people to log in and recover their information. But even then, we want to really be careful about people's privacy. That's one of the things that Friendlians we want to address, because we've got so many, you got people that are infiltrating lots of fraud. And we just don't, I personally just don't like the idea that we're handing our privacy over to companies like, Facebook and Google and all these companies so easily. I think it's a very, very dangerous thing to do that. And we want to kind of protect people. I mean, that Friendlians are protectors. And there's better ways to help people get access to their passwords other than, tracking their buying habits and stuff like that. We don't want to do that.
Nice.
So 2.0 version is hopefully going to come out in either January, February. We're hoping we can get it done pretty quick. We'll have a couple, hopefully we'll have the plush available at some point there. It's all going down pretty heavy this next year. So we're just kind of getting our feet wet this first round up to Christmas, and next year it's full steam ahead. And then hopefully we can get these Toy Story for Real toy technology that I've got. No artificial intelligence, but just toys that interact with the cartoons.
Yeah, and they interact with each other too, right? Or
Yeah, and there's no listening devices. There's no microphone on the device. We want it to just be a content delivery system, no different than your radio.
mm-hmm.
And these toys can kind of talk to each other in very unique ways. I had to come up with a new term called nonlinear dynamic storytelling, which is like choose your own adventure on steroids.
Those were
And
fun books when I was a kid, when they
yeah,
first
I
came out.
love those books. I got to be honest. I mean, choose your own adventure books got me excited about reading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what motivated me. It was fun because I felt like I was a part of the story. And it's those little things, those little mechanisms.
Interaction.
Yeah, that childhood fun that I had that got me thinking, we could teach children all the soft skills. We could teach them how to be good people. And we can write content that all parents can agree are good things for kids to hear. And if they're going to be staring at their phones and they're going to hand their phones over to the kids, let's put some good stuff in front of them. Phones could be good or they could be bad. The TV can be good, or we can have networks like PBS and Mr. Rogers that are giving us good childhood memories, that the world is not as abrasive and as dark and as manipulative as it's become.
Yeah.
We really want to just have a happy, magical play. In fact, let me touch on that a little bit.
Please.
We want there to be magic, even though these are aliens from another planet. I look at them more like the trolls from Frozen, the rock gnomes or whatever they were. That they have magic, but when you dig a little deeper, we're going to reveal to the kids that the magic is not anything supernatural, because we don't want to teach anything political or religious or anything like. We don't want to have any of those connotations in there. But the magic is actually science. They figured out how to
Nice.
levitate things. They've learned how to, how to have, all the autonomous stuff that we're trying to do right now. They figured it out. So, I mean, if you went back in time with what you have in your pocket right now on your person, 50 years ago, they'd probably crucify you. They probably think you're an alien from another
Right.
planet. If I had my phone in my hand, I'm showing them, you know, uh, that would be supernatural,
Mhm.
to somebody 50 years ago. They'd probably have you imprisoned.
Oh, they
You
probably
know?
burn you at the stake right there on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I like thinking that we these aliens are just a lot more intelligent than us, and they figured out how to peacefully coexist, kind of like Star Trek for kids. They figured it out. And it's going to be a challenge trying to kind of go through the hurdles of making sure that I'm making a company that is not going to get boycotted because I've said something inappropriately. I mean, I want to really be a good role model for CEOs, uh, so that we can not just present a really great product to a society, but hopefully the way that we've done our company can be respected, and maybe copied. As to how we treat our staff, how we formulate ideas, how we're working together as a team to go in the same direction to do something that we couldn't do individually by ourselves. And I think, if I was really kind of being honest about it, that the Friendlians are really trying to get kids to kind of go in the same direction, on, instead of fighting against each other.
Right.
Learning how to not cooperate, but collaborate, together to be problem solvers together. I look at people. This is like the most powerful computer on the planet right now. It's the fastest computer on the planet.
Yes.
Um, when you network, and you work together as a team, you've heard that lesson. One stick by itself, but if you get, it can easily be broken. But if you get a bunch of them together, they can't be broken. you know when you organize people and you get them going in a direction of good and peace and happiness, um, that's a powerful thing. We can rely on each other. We can learn how to coexist on this planet without killing each other. And I think it's a message that is so pertinent with the mass shootings we've seen, and uh, just the
Just anything on the
obesity,
news right now.
the obesity problem in our country, the suicide rates in teens. I mean, just um, the number of abortions and failed marriages, and there's just so many things out there that just frustrate me, where I'm thinking, boy, could we handle these problems better. we could
If
we
we were
could do it.
just taught the basics early in our life instead of having MTV and Skinamax and
Yeah,
and what's that Far Cry or whatever, raising our kids.
yeah. And if it's funny, people are, there's a lot of boycotts going on for, Baby It's Cold Outside and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and all of a sudden everybody's looking at all these properties like Veggie Tales and saying, there's racism in it. And
Wait,
that's
wait, wait.
like,
They're saying VeggieTales is racist?
yeah, I know. I mean, there's articles out there. I don't know if it's legitimate, or or if you should take these things seriously. But for certain, the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the little claymation thing they did, it's got problems now.
Wait, it better
Uh,
not. It's supposed to be on every year. It's like mandatory. It's Christmas
yeah,
law.
I
That
mean,
Frosty the Snowman has to be done in stop motion animation. It's just mandatory, like Thriller at
yeah, and
Halloween.
it's like, are we going to look at It's a Wonderful Life at some point and say, it's evil because we're talking about somebody wanting to die and kill himself, and now we can't talk about that subject anymore? I mean, how far are we going to lose our minds to
Hmm.
where we're not thinking about what's actually happening there? I mean, how do you tell, uh, you know, how do you not look at? I mean, the list is very long as to how you could look at products that are crossing the line, and then I'm looking at like any given song on any pop station in America, and you hear what's being talked about there.
Yeah,
When
I just mentioned on my first show. I mentioned on my first show a couple weeks ago. I hung my headphones up as a DJ. I won't DJ again. I can't handle the
I mean,
music. that they request and what other DJs play, how degrading it is to women.
Yeah.
It's just foul language, foul language, foul language. There's no content. They're just jibber jabber jibber. And then there's the guys with the voice boxes. It's like, come on.
Well, it's even worse than that. I mean, there's more porn streamed on Pornhub than all of YouTube and Vimeo combined, and that's doing, I talked to some researchers at Harvard about this, and they're telling me that, there's like one in 10 men are addicted to porn, and those men that are addicted, it's causing frontal lobe damage, to the decision-making part of your brain. So people are coming up, things that they would have never done because of this addiction, this dopamine effect of what porn is giving them. They're having unrealistic expectations of how they would interact with a person of the opposite sex, or for that matter, the same sex. It's just kind of mutating into this, and there's no barrier to stopping a kid from having access to literally any mischievous thing that one human being can do to another. I mean, there's beheadings out there on the internet. There's all kinds of really dark and disgusting things
all the
that
videos
you don't want little kids to have access to, and we have really very little ways of. Most average parents have no idea how to protect their kids from this stuff. I mean, I've got an Alexa device. Good luck with that. There's been a lot of slip ups on that technology where you can ask something and get any answer.
Some scary stuff too, like her evil laughs in the middle of the night that's been happening a lot around the country. You heard about that?
Yeah, and that happens because they thought you were telling it a joke, and it's combined a series of words and thought you were asking a joke.
This is at night when everybody's asleep. When it's silent in the house, she's coming onto the speaker and going.
Yeah. Well, that's the day I take the unit and throw it outside in the rain.
Just like a poltergeist with a TV at the end of the movie when they put it out in the hotel room.
Yeah, and again, that's exactly why we would never want to put a microphone on this toy. There's a company out there, and I'm going to throw them under the bus. They came up with Hello Barbie, and it's exactly that. And I think it was like one of the most boycotted toys at the toy fair when they talked about it. It's like, who wants a toy where everything that your kid says or does, is recorded and reported to some foreign country, that may be handling that data, or could be hacked, or could be, hacked and answering back to you, instructing you to do things. We want to make sure that companies like that go before us and they figure it all out, and then we'll come in with some just really beautiful content. But we never want to put a microphone on the device. We don't want it to hear you, comprehend you, and then turn into Terminator. We just we just want to keep it old school, and this is like a sophisticated 8-track, in the way that we want to handle it, and it's really kind of old school technology, just kind of done and using technology to get it to kids. But we don't want it to be a two-way street. We want it to be a one-way street where we're just giving kids really cool audio books of sorts.
Yeah.
And keep it simple, how you use technology is really an important thing. When I was speaking at Harvard, there was an AI guy there, and he was basically saying in 5 years, the computers will be smarter than us. And there was talk of like an artificial womb being created, and I'm thinking, we've got these autonomous cars now, and we've literally handed our brains over to our phones. I can't, we used to have to remember, phone numbers and stuff like that.
Yes. I can only remember the one from my childhood. That's the only phone number. I forget mine sometimes.
Right. And so
you're so used to just having the directory.
Right. So the big question that kept on popping up in my head on this panel at Harvard was, okay, some of these things are solving problems, but by solving them with technology, they're creating new moral problems and who ultimately is the group of people that are deciding on what's right and wrong on that? Like, for example, just autonomous cars is a great example. Maybe you're driving down the street and not everybody's bought into that autonomous thing just yet. We're in that transition period, and you've seen it on the news. These things are making decisions, and you get to a stop sign and maybe there's two autonomous cars opposite of each other, but you got this one guy that flies through like a bat out of hell, and he forces the other two autonomous cars to make a decision on who lives and dies,
Yeah.
because they're coming at each other now, trying to avoid the one car that flew in the middle that wasn't on the grid. And I'm thinking, I don't know about you, but if I bought a car, I want to be the guy that lives. It's my car, and I'm going to try to, self-preservation.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, old people in the other car, but I want to live. It's just natural instincts to want to live.
Why don't they just make the autonomous cars like bumper cars?
Well, if everybody was on that system, it would be the best system in the world.
It'd be
If it,
fun to drive again. Yeah,
but then again, you're handing your rights over to a company, and maybe that company might have the authority to shut down all cars or drive them to a
yes.
particular place, because we did that during 9/11. The government said no more planes in the air, and then a million planes landed. It was like extraordinary. And you could look in the sky and couldn't find a single thing flying in the air. It was amazing.
Yeah, my dad was detoured. He was a pilot. He got detoured to Canada. It's just, and he's never been to
Right.
Canada, so that was crazy.
And those planes are so sophisticated that they don't require a person. They can already land themselves. They're already to that autonomous level, and some of them are.
There's a program called Eagle Claw that allows somebody on the ground to actually take control in case of a terrorist situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's not out of the bounds of reality if we're talking about planes that are in the air that can crash into neighborhoods being autonomous and working properly. That's already happened. The fact that we're going to get it to the pedestrian level opens up a whole new can of worms. If everybody's on that system, great. But there's so many variables. There's so many different ways to trick those systems right now, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that with Tesla, where the guy just last week, he was in his Tesla car, and the cop pulls alongside him, and he's passed out drunk in the car, and the car's driving, and it took like 5 minutes for them to figure out how to stop this car on the road safely. They had to do a brake, to get the cars behind them, just in case this thing decided to do something else.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, that guy's brilliant. I mean, technically he wasn't driving.
Yeah,
but,
I hope he didn't get a ticket, because that is brilliant.
yeah. And
I was passed out.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we'll be living in total recall, and we'll be in the back seat, and there's some robot that's driving us around. I mean, that is going to happen, folks. You
Oh yeah,
can't avoid it.
Minority Report. I'm like, that's kind of exciting, but it's scary at the same time.
That's the problem. It's like human beings are like party animals. Like we party until we're out in the front lawn puking on the thing. The house is burned down. The cops show up, and only then do we say, "Oops, maybe we shouldn't have done that."
Yeah.
That's how humans operate on this planet. And these movies that have come out, like Minority Report or Total Recall, or any of the other movies that deal with futuristic technology, like Back to the Future, there's always that kid that when he grows up becomes a scientist or an engineer that wants that to happen because he thought it was cool. And there's no regulations saying you can't do some of these things.
Yeah.
Because it's never been done. But if somebody pulls off like, what I thought was a joke with the hoverboard in Back to the Future is now very much a reality. There's a dude.
It's a car dealership that did that ad, right? They had a whole magnetic park, and it had dry ice and it had smoke coming out from the board.
Oh,
They had
yeah,
Tony Hawk do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now there's a guy flying around like the Green Goblin.
Oh, I know. I want that suit.
Yeah, he's got the rockets and he's got this flying board. I mean, he's achieved what was only fantasy. And the same thing with the movie AI, Steven Spielberg's AI. What was only fantasy of that little teddy bear walking around is something that, as creepy as that toy was, I hope to make not so creepy. I hope that we can have toys that kind of feel like they're alive, and interact with you in a happy way. If Disney had come to the public and had talked about him having living, moving pirates that performed a show, they didn't have Terminator in his time, so they probably were very open to robotics. But after Terminator the movie came out, people said, well, wait a second. I mean, that's what's happening with all of these people criticizing Baby It's Cold Outside. Things have happened in our society that make us question what we're doing. So similarly, because Terminator came out trying to do robotics, if Walt was alive trying to do robotics and nobody had ever done audio and electronics, he probably would have been protested. But now, thank God, we've got the tiki room at Disneyland where the birds, the flowers bloom and the birds sing. And I said that, take that, reverse it. That's a Willy Wonka reference there. And we've got Pirates of the Caribbean, and which has turned into a big franchise. It's one of the greatest achievements in storytelling, and truly still more 3D than Pixar's 3D.
Right.
But so trying to get people to kind of trust what I'm doing, building this world, getting people to fall in love with the Friendlians first, I think is the safest way before I start launching a talking toy. I'm seeing companies doing it, and they're not, they're having problems. So I want to make sure it's responsibly done, that we're doing it in an entertaining way, that there's no threats, that we're not using the technology for anything malicious. And then that stuff will come out. So I hope that answers your question on where I'm going next.
Nice. Well, are you just going to be burrowed in on working on this, or do you have any other events or shows that you're going to be on, or?
Yeah, we've got some things working with the podcast division of iHeartRadio, and they've got a couple million followers. We're talking to them, and one of the people on that runs that podcast with all those listeners. She's a voice actress. I'm thinking about seeing if we can get her as the character.
Nice.
If there are people out there that want to help the Friendlien Project, just share the app, tell everybody about it. We're looking for people to sponsor cartoons, so they can always reach out to me and say, I want to talk about this particular problem, and we'll work with these people. They can sponsor the cartoon. They'll get a nice thank you on the website. We're not going to do any personal acknowledgments in the cartoons themselves, because we want to protect kids from advertising and sponsorship and all that. We just don't want to have any part of that. We'll put a nice thank you on the website, but they could say, I want to sponsor a cartoon that teaches kids how to hold hands with their parent when they cross the street safely. We'll help them do that. They can contact my company, tell us the subject they want to do, the kind of budget that they're willing to help us with. And we're not talking about a lot of money. We could do cartoons as low as a couple $100, $500, that's $1,000. The more money somebody wants to put in, the better the production will be. And they could feel good about, we'll figure out a way to make it a tax write-off for them. Hopefully we'll be able to have some status that gives us a nonprofit status at some point with efforts like that. But right now we're a for-profit company, and they could feel good that they instead of handing their money to an organization where they don't know what's going to happen with the money, they'll have a lesson out there that's being taught to all the kids in the network that they could feel good about.
Now, you said this has been out for a bit already, right? Okay.
It's August 18th. Mm-hmm.
How do you see this as being possibly therapeutic for children with disabilities or something like that? Because not all kids might be able to make their bed. So maybe, how videos on being different, having friends that are different, friends that might have different personalities than you, because they might have something going on, different in their lives, and learn. I think so. That's kind of stuff you're going to do or have done, or.
Yeah, that's definitely on the plate. We want to establish kind of a baseline that covers the largest group of the population, just the average kid out there.
Okay.
So we want to get like a baseline of just across the board. We got 20 to 30, at least 20 to 30 cartoons that really address things that apply to everybody. And then we want to kind of zero in on autism first, because
that's where I was going with that, was kids with autism.
Yeah. I've already done cartoons. I've already worked with a team called Wonky Doos that have a cartoon series out there. I think you could find it. And maybe we'll approach them and see if they want to be on my network. But they've got these great series of cartoons for autistic kids that I helped develop. I built the sets for these guys.
Nice.
And basically it teaches like soft skills, using the bathroom, putting on your clothes, how to get dressed, and really, really
basics. Yeah.
But it's done in such a way that puts special attention to a kid that has autism. And there's such a broad range on that I think we're going to have a big repertoire of a lot of different ways to approach those subjects. So we got to get experts on board that help us with schizophrenia, with bipolar disease, OCD. We want to really address those things.
Dementia
But
and all that, yeah.
yeah, but before we start playing doctor,
Getting heavy, get the
yeah, before
basics.
we get heavy, we want to start with just basic stuff like, why is it important to be honest?
Mhm.
What does it mean to be wise? What does it mean to be friendly? Just basic
Um,
stuff.
don't be
Just
selfish, be giving.
yeah, don't be
The
selfish,
stuff
be
that most
kind.
kids
Yeah, basic.
the stuff most kids today, unfortunately, have, are slipping through the cracks, and they're just getting by.
And
And
it's not the parent. I can't entirely blame the parents for that because they're both
yeah,
working. They're working parents. They're
yes,
struggling. They don't have
yes.
time. When my daughters were first born, people were sending me big fat books that were size of phone books. Like what to expect from when you're expecting type size books on how to raise twins. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. I'm changing diapers every half hour.
Hmm. And you don't want to sit there and thumb through a book. Whereas this, you just go diaper
Yeah,
changing.
you should. You should. Okay. My kid's throwing a tantrum. My kidney. And by the way, we want to do the Friendly and Lifestyle brand is going to have really clever ways on getting kids the help that they need, so we can help the parents too. So one of the things I'm going to make, it's already been prototyped, is called a rocket cup. It has a little pressure plate on the bottom, where the thruster would be, and then there's little fins. It's like a traditional rocket, that keep it. So it's more stable a cup. So when the kids are trying to get off of the sippy cup scenario and go to a topless cup, where you put a healthy drink in there, I was putting like healthy drinks in and they were knocking over because they didn't want to drink it for one.
Yeah.
And the way those cups, those little sippy cups, are designed without the tops, they're top heavy. Every single cup on the market is top heavy. So the kids inevitably not very coordinated. They're going to knock it over. You're going to be losing product. And so I figured we put the little pressure plate in there so that randomly it'll light up and blast off and say hydrate or drink me, and we'll make it a game so they won't know exactly when it'll do it. So that you can put a healthy drink in there, and by the time they figured out what's happening, they've drank the drink. And
Nice.
you can unscrew the mechanism and put it in your dishwasher, because I've gotten these little light up cups at theme parks.
But you can't get the
And
light out or the batteries
you
one
can't get the
time.
whole in. It's self-contained, and they basically want to keep. Again, it's that whole disposable mentality that I want to break in society, where once it's done, you got to throw it in the trash. I want to. Now you could probably figure out how to get new batteries in there. I'm sure there's a way to do that on these things, but I want to make it so you just unscrew it, pop it in the dishwasher, and boom, you're good to go. And we want to do the same thing with the toy. We want to make it so that the toy mechanism, you can lift this up, pop the unit out, wash it, and then put it back. And then you don't have to destroy the mechanism. You can wash a toy with the talking technology in it. So there's a lot of different ways to handle these problems. And I'm not, people keep on saying, Joel, you got to copy, you protect. I have protected everything, but I wouldn't care if people stole these ideas and just did it. I want the world to start thinking differently on these subjects. And if I've got a lot of copycats, then that to me is a good day. Steal it away. Copy me. Don't copy this. You'll get in trouble. I have copy protected and trademarked a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But if people take my principles and think about designing things in a more effective way, get that responsibility part of that triangle. It's not just affordable and convenient, but we also add responsible into that equation. I'm fine with people taking that. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to teach a whole generation of people to think that way. So of course I'm not afraid of other companies acting that way. There's a thing called a B Corp out there. You don't have you just have to fill out a questionnaire saying that you're a eco-friendly company or you're responsible. You just you pay a lot of money for it, and then boom, you're a B Corp. Nobody checks up on these things to know whether or not you're actually doing what you said you want to do. So Friendlien's, for the last 10 years, even when I was a kid, I've always kind of thought about how do we make things how do we build things so that it's 100% efficient in the way that we build it, so that that's what makes it affordable to sell, because we've made it so efficiently. But every single aspect of that product needs to be done responsibly, and even the way we treat the employees has to be done responsibly. And ultimately, how we dispose of that product has to be, if it's a disposable, has to be done in a responsible way. And the company that ultimately takes that thing and recycles it or repurposes it or uses it for energy, that company is also responsibly made. It's also in that, it's a friendlien company. So the whole concept is to get the world to kind of be friendliens, so that every single company, supplier or distributor or however it works, and every single level from nuts to bolts is thinking, how do we do this without killing ourselves?
Right.
It's not about just profit and greed, kids. But we could do it. We can make it profitable, and we can make it fun, and we can make it responsibly.
Excellent.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I just can't wait for it to get going, and the TV show, and hopefully a movie. And if you need any voices, let me know.
Yeah. I want to.
I've always wanted to be a cartoon.
I want to get a lot of people involved. I've come from the movie and game and television business, so I got a Rolodex of like super talent. But I want to make it so that there's no ageism. The whole concept of the nonlinear dynamic storytelling with the toys is going to open up an entirely new market for writers and voiceover talent. And one of the things I want to just work out is make sure that there's no ageism, there's no sexism, that people can get on the projects and just because they're talented, that the merits of their talents get them on the project, and we can start giving people that have been kind of discarded in society, we can get them jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help veterans. I got a long history of all my grandfathers fighting in every single war this country's ever had, and I really want to make sure that this is helping the people that need the help the most, and it's not motivated by money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I think I clicked so well with you. What?
So that I can take that money and build better, greater things that help more people.
Mm-hmm.
But the profits and me getting my big fat bank account has never been the friendly. And I can't create a friendly company if I'm like the Walmart,
like Scrooge and McDuck or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, right. And we're going to be teaching a Scrooge like story in there somehow, if it hasn't been boycotted by then.
And what sucks is that's one of my favorite Christmas stories of all time.
Yeah,
Grew up watching it every year.
I cry every time, even as an adult man. When I see Scrooge, I cry. And that and One Wonderful Life, and these are like, warning stories, foreboding stories, foreshadowing of bad behavior.
Aesop tale kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we need more of that. I can't sit down with my kids and think of a show that I would enjoy with my kids that's talking about how to be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
There's literally nothing. With all the shows and all the channels we've got now these days, I can't think of one that I would enjoy. I used to watch Little House on the Prairie, The Brady Bunch, The Cosby Show, despite Cosby's horrible indiscretions, which he's paying for, thank God.
Yes.
But I wanted to have that kind of a family, the Huxtable family. Geez, that was a wonderful family,
Yeah.
The Brady Bunch. I mean, it was sappy and silly, but some part of you wanted to have parents that worked out their problems like that, right?
Yeah. And
we don't have shows like that anymore.
And there was still some sense of innocence back then, like in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. I mean, in comparison to today, where you've got 10-year-olds twerking, at a what do you call it? Those pageants.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone.
No,
we're not going to go to the dark side in this interview, but it's good to see
we could talk about that. Yeah, we could talk about that. I mean, it's not. There's a dark side, and you know what? I don't think any of the parents that are listening to this right now would disagree that we have we've forgotten restraint, and we've given children access to some very dark things. And when you put Google in the power of a small little kid, they have access to all knowledge that is provided you.
Yeah.
And when they get into the teens and they're smarter than the parents, they're able to get into the dark web. And then so the only way that you can really combat that stuff, because even if you have good morals, you're protecting your kids from all this darkness. The kid's going to go to another neighborhood, another kid's house,
House.
and their parents might not be so, tight on letting kids have access to stuff. Pardon me, I'm burping.
Hmm.
And they'll have access to that. You can't stop it from happening. The only thing to combat this problem is to teach kids to be self-reliant, so that they themselves make a choice to not make bad choices.
And follow that inner instinct instead of trying to be cool with your friends. Because all the stuff
Right.
I did wrong was always at someone else's house. The
Knowledge is
Playboy
power.
magazines, all that stuff was over at someone else's house.
Yeah, and knowledge is power, and we want to start educating our kids at a very early age of the dangers that they can come across and how to handle those problems. That's really what the Friendly Project is about: getting kids to learn how to communicate with the world around them in peaceful ways, despite our differences, but ultimately trying to help them reach goals that get them excited about being an unstoppable force of nature, where they can achieve goals. And as long as those goals are, are healthy, contributing to society in a positive way, that's what we're hoping to do.
Excellent. Dude, it's an amazing
So we
project.
are we are at the hour and a half mark, and my power is getting a little low.
And I think you said you had dinner cooking. So
I do. Dinner is
so
ready.
we'll call it a wrap. Anything you want to say, your websites one more time?
Yeah.
Any
So
events coming up or anything?
we're really in early production. We're in new production mode, so it's pretty much production. We do have some things popping up, but just sign up for the newsletter. That's the best way to keep in touch. We're hoping we can get into schools, show up at schools and stuff like that. We're all kind of formulating this plan now. We're early on in the Friendlien revolution, and so they just have to go to friendliens .club. That's spelled friend, LIENS .club, and just sign up for the newsletter. If you've got an iOS, sign up. We're not going to bombard you with spam. We're just going to let you know that the network's available, and if there's any major event, we're not going to regularly put out a newsletter.
Okay. Oh, I was just putting this up as you were talking so they could see it
Yeah,
one last time, the
there's
website.
a little, on the left where the Friendlien is, you can see where the little slot is to subscribe. We've gotten a lot of subscribers that want, if you're a teacher and you want to just do it for that purpose, just log in as a teacher just so that you can have access to this. And we want to work with teachers, so we can help with the soft skills. I was talking to a teacher. One of my partners is a teacher. He taught kindergarten and grade school. And but I was talking to one of the teachers that deals with kindergarten, and right now, uh, there are kids that used to be able to come in and they knew how to hold a pencil, or they weren't in diapers, but because the way that society's gone, these kids don't even have those basic skills going into kindergarten. They didn't do preschool.
Yeah.
So we got problems, and the schools are all overloaded. I encourage teachers to download this, so that maybe as we're building the curriculum, and the kids misbehaving, they can sit them down with an iPad and go through a lesson series that's going to talk to them about how to cool down when they're angry.
Yeah.
What we've got this thing called the cool down method, when your head gets real hot when you get angry, and it gets kids to learn how to deal with these problems, how to deal with their emotions. We definitely want to teach emotional IQ and stuff like that. So those are the things that are coming down the pipe. So definitely sign up on friendliens.club, or
Just
go
did.
to the Play Store
Yeah.
and download it right now if you got Android. And if somebody is kind enough to give us a 5-star, we want people to be honest about the review. But if you love it, go in there and give us a good review. It's just going to help us stay at the top in the in the ratings,
Mhm.
and we hope to keep on bringing a lot of great content to everybody. So.
Well, fantastic. Joel, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this. And we're going to promote it as stuff comes up. You just tell me, we'll have you
Yeah.
on, talk about updates on the progress of Friendlien Universe. I know it's not Friendlien's Universe, but to me, you've pulled a Stan Lee. Instead of ruling the universe, create it. And that's what you did. And I love
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's guys like that, like Spielberg and the Spielbergs of the world, man. Those are the ones that got me inspired
Yeah.
to Walt Disney, and they built their, you know. I'm actually mostly inspired by Steven because E.T. was such a big deal to me as a kid. It was the
Yeah. Me
first
too.
time that I had seen a happy, peaceful alien in a movie ever.
Mhm.
And we
Yeah.
fell in love with that character. And then he went off to some amazing planet. Well, I'm building that planet.
That's awesome.
So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm building an entire planet. This is where maybe where ET visited. It's a planet like that, and I want kids to be able to explore it. It's going to be a beautiful thing. So
That's awesome. All right. Well, Joel, thank you so much. Folks, that was Joel Christopher Payne with the Friendliens. Check out the site. Check out his personal site with his paintings. Get one. They're amazing. I'm just talking to my loan officer because I want to buy out your whole collection. I would love to just buy it all, you know?
as
Um,
long as long as you take the financial lessons and you make sure that you're learning how to be fiscally responsible.
true, true, true. So, well, thank you so much. Folks, you're watching 1028 Live. This was the Thursday night edition on December 6th, 2019. Join us next week. On Tuesday, we've got Michael Loftus from CBS, uh, head comedy writer for Two and a Half Men and Anger Management and a whole bunch of other shows. He has his own show called The Loftus Party on YouTube. Be sure to check it out. Also, I didn't get it in time for tonight's show, so this is last month's. Be sure to get Off Grid magazine if you're worried about all the stuff that's going on in the world, which you should. And if you don't know anything about prepping or survival stuff, just start with the magazine. These have lessons and skill sets, how to do, do reverse 360s and pit removers, karate, grow your own food. I mean, just this one magazine, one issue alone is a savior. So check that out. And then remember, we have the Survival Prepper Expo May 25th and 6th. It will be free to the public. That's right, folks, at the Honda Casino Resort Conference Center, where Joel was with us at Disclosure Con. And it's going to be pretty big. Yeah. So we've got Off Grid Magazine. They're going to be there. And they're also bringing a very special guest who I think, I'm not going to say what alphabet agencies he's worked for, but he teaches escape and evasion. So, yeah. All right, folks, that's about it. I think Joel just jumped off. Yes, he did. And I will talk to you all on the flip side. This is Doc Skinner, and I'm going to cut it now. Ciao bella, I think.